Good morning. Happy Thursday. There's been a lot of buzz about Chile's new, latest and greatest complaint, which is just a completely I've had an opportunity to look at it. Like there are just it's jaw dropping how bad this complaint is. There are so many ways to attack it, but the way that I've seen most people in my comment section and on Discord have been saying that it needs to be attacked or that it should be attacked or that it will fail is based on statute of limitations because Massachusetts has a 3-year statute of limitations and he missed it by 2 years. By 2 days. Well, there are some issues with that. First of all, I don't see where he actually pled specific dates of when the statements were published. All the statements. I don't even know that he has an exhaustive list of statements. So that's an issue right there. But the second issue is choice of law. Now, Chille alleges that he is a resident of the state of California. By the way, he does not allege which state Lackluster is a resident of. So if Lackluster is a resident of the state of California, there's incomplete diversity of jurisdiction. But I think he actually has to allege what state Lackluster is a resident of in order to actually properly allege diversity jurisdiction. So I mean, there's so many problems. But Chille alleges that he is a resident of the state of California. My understanding of Massachusetts choice of law, which I figured out from the previous Chille lawsuit against DeCastro and Abrams, was that California defamation law would apply because the victim of the tort, the person who was harmed by the tort, is a resident of the state of California, and so ergo 1 year statute of limitations on the defamation. But I don't really know that this case is gonna hinge on the statute of limitations because there's just so many issues that I just don't know. Like I don't know how many times Chille's going to get leave of court to amend his complaint, etc. And I don't know what direction he's going to go because remember the first time he alleged copyright. I think he alleged copyright infringement, and then he switched to defamation, or vice versa. I mean, he completely switched out causes of action. So maybe that's going to happen this time. I don't know. With Chille, who knows? Like literally, who knows? It's going to be a shit show. It's going to be a shit show. He has no fucking idea what he's doing. And interestingly enough, I believe that one of the issues in the California state case that he has against Peters and Blue Bacon, there was an issue about depositions, and Chille alleged that he's a resident of the state of Nevada. And because of that, he had to get deposed in Nevada or something like that. I don't remember exactly the issues that he raised, but I do remember there was an issue with his state of residence that he is now a resident of the state of Nevada. Interestingly enough, I don't know if Blue Bacon ever got his deposition, but the court in California could, if offered this by Bacon or Bacon's attorney, could take judicial notice of this filing in Massachusetts. And it does state in there that Chille DeCastro, that his contact information is California, that he states in there, he claims in there that he's a resident of the state of California. So, I mean, that might come into play in Blue Bacon's case in California. Speaking of Blue Bacon, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Blue Bacon decided that he was smarter than me and he knew the law better than me. And because, like, the Army Field Manual said that a military base is an installation, that 18 USC 795 is actually referring to the whole base itself. He ignored or just completely didn't respond to my careful walkthrough showing that Congress, in passing 18 USC 795, gave the president the authorization to define what a vital military installation was. The president, in an executive order, defined an installation as a thing that has been classified as top secret, secret, confidential, or restricted That's information. That's an information classification, not a can you actually enter the base. It's is the information itself classified. And then Blue Bacon argued that, well, bases are restricted access, therefore the restricted applies. And I pointed out a later executive order that removed the restricted classification for information. And he completely ignored that. And anyway, long story short, he thinks that he won that particular argument. Now, a long time ago, I made a video with a sarcastic title saying mea culpa, Blue Bacon was right. But then in the actual video itself, I laid out all the reasons why he was wrong. It was kind of a sarcastic title. Now, Blue Bacon apparently never watched that video and doesn't understand sarcasm. And so he claimed that because I made that video with that title that I admitted defeat and therefore he won. So I changed the title. Say the prior title was sarcastic. You actually have to watch the meat of the video, the actual content of the video to see that I'm actually laying out an argument as to why Blue Bacon is wrong. Well, in my comment section yesterday, Blue Bacon showed up to respond to Nasty Nathaniel, who apparently they had a lover's quarrel and broke up. And, that's between them. But the reason why they broke up is because Nasty Nathaniel believes that he can film the gates of military installations as long as he's not on their property. The gates of military bases, as long as he's not on their property, which are colloquially referred to as installations, but not for the purposes of the statute are they referred to as installations. So he believes that he can record the gates from public property, i.e. non-military based property, and Blue Bacon doesn't, and that's apparently why they broke up. So Nasty Nate references Blue Bacon because, he's still a little bit forlorn over him, I believe, because Blue Bacon is a good-looking dude and rather limp-wristed, if I do say so myself. My gaydar is pretty good. And so Blue Bacon shows up because I guess he's stalking Nasty Nathaniel because they still have unrequited feelings for each other, allegedly. So... So he starts arguing with Nasty Nathaniel about 18 U.S.C. 795 not allowing people to record gates to military bases at all, period. And so, I respond, well, actually you can. And so then he says that, no, he won that argument a long time ago and I'm dumb and wrong and whatever, right? So I challenge him to a debate. I say, hey, you and me can present each of our arguments in front of a lawyer who is a stand-in for a judge. I don't know any judges who watch YouTube, but if somebody does who wants to offer up a judge to basically do it present it like it'd be in a court of law, have a judge make a determination, and a lawyer could be a stand-in for a judge based on the arguments that we present, just like we've seen in Lane Myers, just like we've seen in DeCastro's cases. Any of the videos we've watched where two lawyers argue a motion, we could just do that. I wouldn't want like a debate because arguing a legal point is not a debate. You don't use fallacies. Everything is literally an appeal to authority. Everything is an appeal to authority. Your whole point is you have to cite things like case law and statutes and things like that. Now you're going to say, well, an appeal to authority means that you're actually appealing to someone who doesn't actually have authority in the situation. Well, you're still you're going to still reference things like practice guides and things like that aren't actually authorities. But the whole point of it is you're not reinventing the wheel. And if you are in the point where you're trying to reinvent the wheel, then you have to have a good argument that's reasonable, but it doesn't have to necessarily be logical, if that makes sense. So anyway, I offered him a debate for this weekend, either Saturday morning or Sunday evening. He said no, he's got tuba practice for the Army Reserve or whatever. And so then I said, well, how about the next weekend? And then he's like, oh, has anything changed? And I'm like, you got a couple weeks to figure it out, bro. Let's go. And he's like, nah, I don't think so. I'm done educating you. So, he's apparently too big of a pussy to actually put his money where his mouth is and have a third party judge. I still think I won. I presented things based on facts and law. He presented things based on the Army Field Manual and things like that. So, at the end of the day, not a single person has ever been successfully prosecuted for video recording a military gate on a military base from off the property. Ever. James Freeman was prosecuted for it, but the underpinning argument, the underpinning facts that they were using was that he was actually on the military base. And again, that got dropped. That got dismissed, I believe, without prejudice. But the guard who arrested him had been separated from the whatever service. They didn't have him left to testify that Freeman's feet were actually across the line and on the military property. So, I mean, like once you go on the base, the military can control what you do pretty much top to bottom. Like they can say you can't record anything, but off the base, you can record that gate. It's one of the things that I am almost completely certain of. There's very few things in law that I'm almost completely certain of. This is one of the few things that I'm almost completely certain of. So do with that as you will. Blue Bacon is still a giant pussy who challenges people to come up to Washington and fight him, and then gets a fucking restraining order against them because they say, yeah, I'll come up and fight you, bitch. Because he's just a giant tuba playing bitch. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.